Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Imagine getting into a huge argument with your parents. They're making all the rules, taking your allowance for things you don't agree with, and you have absolutely no say in any of it. Now, scale that up to a massive, continent-spanning fight, and you've basically got the American War of Independence. This wasn't just a squabble. It was the birth of a nation. So, how did it all start? Picture this. It's the mid-1700s. And the 13 British colonies in North America are feeling pretty good. They built homes, farms, and bustling towns. But across the Atlantic, Great Britain was in a bit of a financial pinch. Haiti just fought the expensive 7 Years' War, you might know it as the French. An Indian mourned. They were looking at their American colonies as a way to refill the bank. Their solution? Taxes. Lots of them. First came the Sugar Act. Then the Stamp Act in 1765. This one was a real kicker. It meant colonists had to pay a tax on almost any piece of paper they used. Newspapers, legal documents, even playing cards. The colonists were furious. It wasn't just about the money, it was the principle. They had no representatives in the British Parliament. This led to the famous rallying cry: no taxation without representation. The tension just kept building. Think of it like a pot of water simmering, and Britain kept turning up the heat. In 1770, a street brawl in Boston escalated into the Boston Massacre, where British soldiers fired on a crowd of colonists. Then, in 1773, to protest a tax on tea, a group of colonists disguised themselves, boarded British ships, and dumped an entire shipment of tea into Boston Harbor. This, of course, was the legendary Boston Tea Party. Britain's response was swift and harsh. They passed what the colonists called the Intolerable Acts, which shut down Boston's port and placed Massachusetts under direct British control. This was the final straw. The colonies, which had often bickered amongst themselves, realized they had a common enemy. In 1774, delegates from 12 of the 13 colonies met in Philadelphia for the First Continental Congress. They decided to boycott British goods and start training military. The simmering pot was about to boil over. The first shots were fired on April 19, 1775, in Lexington and Concord. British troops marched to seize colonial military supplies, but they were met by local Minutemen, so-called, because they could be ready to fight at a minute's notice. The shot heard round the world was fired, and the war officially began. Soon after, the Second Continental Congress convened and appointed a Virginia delegate named George Washington to lead their new Continental Army. Washington wasn't a military genius at first, but he was resilient and learned from his mistakes. He knew he couldn't beat the British in a straight-up fight every time. So, he played a long game, fighting strategically and keeping his army's morale alive through brutal winters like the one at Valley Forge. As the war raged on, the idea of just fighting for their rights as Englishmen evolved into something much bigger: the fight for complete independence. On July 4th, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. This iconic document, primarily written by Thomas Jefferson, declared that the 13 colonies were now free and independent states, no longer part of the British Empire. But declaring independence is one thing. Winning it is another. The colonists were the underdogs. They were facing the most powerful military in the world. But they had a crucial advantage. They were fighting on their home turf, and for a cause they deeply believed in. A turning point came in 1777 with the Battle of Saratoga. The American victory there was so significant that it convinced France to officially join the war as an ally to the colonies. French money, ships, and soldiers were again. The final major battle took place in 1781 at Yorktown, Virginia. With the help of the French Navy, which trapped the British fleet, Washington's army surrounded the British forces, led by General Cornwallis. Pinned down, and with no hope of escape, Cornwallis surrendered. The fighting was essentially over. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, officially recognizing the United States of America as an independent nation. The argument with the parents was over, and the kids had officially moved out and started their own house. This Revolutionary War didn't just create a new country, it inspired movements for independence and democracy all over the world. It was a bold experiment that proved a government as power should come from the consent of the governed. And that's the whirlwind story of the American Revolution. It's a tale of protest, perseverance, and the powerful idea that people have the right to determine their own destiny. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more history stories. See you in the next video.